Here's what's coming up on The World Today. China joins Russia in opposing NATO expansion as President Putin attends Beijing Winter Olympics. Fifth UK advisor resigns from Boris Johnson's team within 24 hours amid pressure on the Prime Minister's leadership. Plus, South African scientists make a copy of Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shuboale. China has put on a united front with Russia as the Ukraine crisis escalates, with President Xi Jinping joining Vladimir Putin in opposing further NATO expansion. In a joint statement issued after the Russian president met his Chinese counterpart in Beijing, the two powers called on NATO to abandon the ideological approaches of the Cold War.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is the star guest in Beijing for the start of the 2022 Winter Olympic Games. The meeting is the Chinese President Xi Jinping's first face-to-face talks with a world leader in nearly 2 years as his country hosts the Olympics. Of more significance to this visit is the increased cooperation and shared view of the world that Presidents Xi and Putin are keen to show. Although Ukraine wasn't mentioned, it was clearly hinted at when they both said they opposed the enlargement of the NATO alliance. With geopolitical tensions, Putin and Xi publicly took each other's sides in a range of disputes, notably Ukraine, where the West accuses Putin of preparing for war. Russia, which has deployed more than 100,000 troops to the Ukrainian frontier, denies planning to invade, but says it could take unspecified military action unless demands are met, including barring Ukraine from ever joining NATO. Moscow, for its part, said it fully supported Beijing's stance on Taiwan and opposed Taiwanese independence in any form. The lengthy joint statement released after their meeting occasionally veered into Cold War-era rhetoric, condemning certain states' attempts to impose their own democratic standards on other countries. Putin, who is in Beijing to attend the Winter Olympics, also unveiled a new major gas deal with China, reducing its dependence on its traditional European energy customers. The United States, the United Kingdom and more than a dozen other governments have declined to send dignitaries to Beijing, citing alleged human rights abuses, which Beijing denies.
Meanwhile, Ukraine says it's been notified about U.S. intelligence that Russia may stage a propaganda video as a pretext to launch a military offensive, but Kyiv is awaiting more details. U.S. intelligence believes Russia could use a fabricated video showing the graphic aftermath of an explosion, including equipment appearing to belong to Ukraine or allied nations, to justify an invasion. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price says the United States is publicizing intelligence to lay bare the extent of Russia's destabilizing actions towards Ukraine and to dissuade Russia from continuing what the U.S. says is a dangerous campaign.
We have previously noted our strong concerns regarding Russian disinformation and the likelihood that Moscow might seek to create a false flag operation to initiate military activity. Now, we can say that the United States has information that Russia is planning to stage fabricated attacks by Ukrainian military or intelligence forces as a pretext for a further invasion of Ukraine. One possible option the Russians are considering, and which we made public today, involves the production of a propaganda video, a video with graphic scenes of false explosions, depicting corpses, crisis actors pretending to be mourners, and images of destroyed locations or military equipment, entirely fabricated by Russian intelligence. To be clear, the production of this propaganda video is one of a number of options that the Russian government is developing as a fake pretext to initiate and potentially justify military aggression against Ukraine. We don't know if Russia will necessarily use this or another option in the coming days. We are publicizing it now, however, in order to lay bare the extent of Russia's destabilizing actions towards Ukraine and to dissuade Russia from continuing this dangerous campaign and ultimately launching a military attack. Russia has signaled it's willing to continue diplomatic talks as a means to de-escalate, but actions such as these suggest otherwise. We will continue to diligently work together with our allies and partners to expose Russian disinformation and other hybrid tactics used against Ukraine. We continue to work to prevent any effort Moscow might make to justify further military action in Ukraine. We again urge Russia to stop its destructive and destabilizing disinformation campaign, to de-escalate tensions, and to engage in diplomacy and dialogue for a peaceful solution.
We'll get in more details about the highest profile counter-terror operation of U.S. President Joe Biden's tenure, and officials appeared intent on using it to cast the president in a decisive light. U.S. forces conducted an operation targeting the leader of the Islamic State terrorist group on Tuesday. Before U.S. troops could reach him, he set off a bomb, killing himself and his family. In a statement last night, President Joe Biden described it as a final act of cowardice. He said the U.S. operation was planned for months before it was executed. Let's take a listen.
Last night, operating on my orders, the United States military forces successfully moved a major terrorist threat to the world, the global leader of ISIS, known as Haji Abdullah. He took over as leader of ISIS in 2019 after the United States counterterrorism operation killed al-Baghdadi. Since then, ISIS has directed terrorist operations targeting Americans, our allies and our partners, and countless civilians in the Middle East, Africa, and in South Asia. Haji Abdullah oversaw the spread of ISIS-affiliated terrorist groups around the world after savaging communities and murdering innocents. We all remember the gut-wrenching stories, mass slaughters that wiped out entire villages, thousands of women and young girls sold into slavery, rape used as a weapon of war. And thanks to the bravery of our troops, this horrible terrorist leader is no more. Our forces carried out the operation with their signature preparation and precision, and I directed the Department of Defense to take every precaution possible to minimize civilian casualties. Knowing that this terrorist had chosen to surround himself with families, including children, we made a choice to pursue a special forces raid at a much greater risk than to our own people, rather than targeting him with an airstrike. We made this choice to minimize civilian casualties.
President, how many civilian casualties were there?
Our Washington correspondent Maria Bird joins us now for more on this. Maria, this is so far the highest profile counter-terror operation of Biden's tenure. Speak to us about the details surrounding the operation.
This operation, as you stated previously, was underway for months. As we know, President Joe Biden was working as the vice president when we know that former President Obama took out Osama bin Laden. And so this, I think, was something that he was planning to do. ISIS has always and continues to be one of the terrorists that the U.S. continuously watches and keeps under watch. And so this was something that he definitely came into the White House looking to be able to accomplish and achieve. Now, he was able to actually watch the entire operation occur as they saw civilians being escorted out. And so children were safely removed from the facility prior to the U.S. moving forward. And as you stated, the bomb that actually went off, the suicide bomb that actually killed the family and the head of ISIS. And so you can guarantee that as President Biden enters into his second year in office, this is going to be a check mark for what he has as an accomplishment and a success as he looks to remove terrorists from our global world, but obviously those who have been an immediate threat to the United States.
Yeah, you're right, Maria, because already it's been touted as a huge success for the Biden administration. But how is it being received in the U.S.?
To be very honest, I think that the U.S. Did not see this at the same level of threat as maybe President Biden in the White House sees this as a threat. And so as much as I think Americans remember, ISIS as a major threat to the U.S., I don't know if they see it as the same level of an accomplishment as the White House, but I can guarantee you we will continue to see information coming out about how this was very important for the U.S. to move forward on.
All right, Maria, before I let you go, let's talk about the Ukraine crisis. The U.S. has, of course, now deployed more troops to Europe, but the issue surrounding Russia's list of demands remains. What can we expect next week in terms of talks and negotiations?
There will be continued talks. I mean, we know that the U.S. has been very interested and is taking a lead role in this and believing that Russia will invade. And we can probably guarantee that if we do see any level of invasion or what the U.S. even perceives as invasion, that the U.S. will be, they've already have troops there waiting if anything does happen, and we can guarantee to see that there will be more troops added. So I think it really depends on what is going to be next. We know that the U.S. is watching each and every step of Russia, and obviously any communication they can have with Russia's President Putin, they will continue to do that.
All right then, Maria, thanks a lot for the update and do have a lovely weekend.
You as well.
Moving on now, a court in Denmark has found 3 members of an Iranian opposition group guilty of spying for Saudi Arabia. The 3 men were detained by police in February 2020 and are members of the Saudi-backed Arab struggle movement for the liberation of Havas. They were also found guilty of promoting terrorism by supporting its armed wing in Iran. They face sentencing next month with possible prison terms of up to 12 years and deportation. During a lengthy trial at Denmark's Roskilde District Court, the jury heard that between 2012 and 2020, the 3 men had passed information on a variety of Danish individuals and organizations, as well as Iranian military affairs to Saudi intelligence officers in exchange for payment. Germany and the EU have condemned Russia's decision to shut down the Moscow Bureau of International Public Broadcaster, Deutsche Welle. All DW staff have lost their press accreditations and the channel is barred from broadcasting in Russia. Germany's culture minister condemned the move as not acceptable in any way. Russia argued it was retaliating after German regulators decided a new Russian state-run TV channel, RTDE, did not have suitable license to operate. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman has appeared to offer an olive branch to the German government, saying that if Germany moved to normalize the situation, then Russia would too. And in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been rocked by a string of resignations from his team of aides in Downing Street within 24 hours. Policy advisor Elena Narozanski has become the 5th aide to leave her role after 4 senior staff members quit on Thursday. Mr. Johnson attempted to rally staff at a meeting earlier today, telling them change is good. The Prime Minister is battling to save his leadership as Tory MPs consider whether to oust him over lockdown parties in Downing Street. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister still has some support, as Health Minister Sajid Javid says he still supports the Prime Minister as he fights to save his premiership.
The Prime Minister has been really clear in his response to all these the reports, the update from Sue Gray. He came to Parliament as he said he would. He apologised and he set out and said that he will change things, and he started making those changes already. Yeah. The Prime Minister has clarified the remarks, and that's important. And what I will be doing is actually getting on with my job, which is what I'm doing today on World Cancer Day. The Prime Minister, of course he does, absolutely.
It's also come on the programme. Opening ceremony kicks off the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, the first city to host a summer and winter games. More details in a moment. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Scientists in South Africa have made a copy of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, a move which they say could help boost vaccination rates across Africa. The continent currently has the lowest uptake of COVID shots in the world. The company behind the new vaccine says it hopes to start clinical trials in November. It's also the first mRNA vaccine designed, developed and produced at lab scale on the African continent.
A South African company has made its own COVID-19 vaccine. The company called Afrigen says it used Moderna data to design, develop and produce the first mRNA-type vaccine for COVID-19 on the African continent. It would mean a cheaper, patent-free version of the shot. The WHO hired the company last year, one of several chosen in a pilot program to help low and middle-income countries crack the code of COVID vaccines. UN health official Charles Gore says Afrigen should help change perceptions about African nations' capabilities.
If this project shows that Africa can take cutting-edge technology and produce cutting-edge products with it, that will banish this idea Africa can't do it. And I hope that will really change the global mindset around Africa. And understanding that, yes, this is about empowering Africa. This is not about philanthropy to Africa.
Afrigen used the publicly available sequence of Moderna's mRNA vaccine. However, the company's managing director, Petro Tablanche, made it clear it's a uniquely designed vaccine.
Moderna sequence 1273, discovered by Stanford University and being completely in the public domain, and we forward integrate making a vaccine with our own processes, partnering with its university, our own knowledge base and public domain information that the team would extract, interpret and utilize.
WHO launched the project after Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna declined their request to share tech and expertise. However, Moderna pledged not to enforce patents during the pandemic. Moderna is yet to comment on Afrigen's Thursday announcement. The WHO hopes its hub in Cape Town will help overcome vaccine inequalities between rich and poor countries. Some 99% of Africa's vaccines against all diseases are imported, and the negligible remainder is manufactured locally. Afrigen announced its vaccine could be tested on humans before the end of the year.
More COVID developments from around the world now. India's coronavirus deaths across 500,000, plus Austria becomes first country in Europe to impose COVID vaccine mandate. Here's the global update.
India's official COVID-19 death toll has officially crossed 500,000. The country, which is the fourth highest tally of deaths globally, recorded 400,000 deaths by July 2021 after the devastating outbreak from the Delta variant of the coronavirus, but some believe the figures were much higher. India is currently in the midst of a third wave of the coronavirus, led by the Omicron variant, which some top experts say is already in community transmission, although federal officials say most cases are mild. According to official figures, India's overall number of COVID infections has reached 41.95 million, the second highest globally behind the United States. South Korea has extended COVID-19 social distancing rules for 2 weeks, including a 9 p.m. curfew for restaurants, bars and gyms, amid soaring cases of Omicron coronavirus variant. New daily cases have tripled over the past 2 weeks, but the number of deaths and serious infections have remained relatively low in the highly vaccinated country. Still in Asia, in Japan, serious coronavirus cases have gone over the 1,000 mark for the first time in 4 months. Official figures show that the number of seriously ill patients rose by 131 to 1,042 cases, the highest it had been in 4 months. Omicron cases are now dominant among a population where less than 5% have received a booster jab. And finally, Austrian President Alexander Van der Bellen has signed into law a mandate for all eligible adults over 18 in the country to be vaccinated against COVID-19. While some nations like Italy are mandating that adults over 50 or people who work in the medical industry get vaccinated, Austria's new law calling for the vaccination of all adults is the first of its kind in Europe.
To improve the performance of the healthcare delivery in Nigeria, the welfare of health practitioners needs to be prioritized. This is the view of Nigerian-British consultant, urological surgeon at the Royal London Hospital, Professor Frank Chinegundu. He believes investing in the general welfare of medical personnel will largely improve healthcare delivery in the country.
It saddens me that the doctors don't feel valued enough and they're not remunerated well enough. And so many of them seek their opportunities abroad, which is to the detriment of the population, within Nigeria. I mean, I spent quite a lot of time in Nigeria. In fact, even when I was a medical student, I spent some months at Lagos University Teaching Hospital. And even then, and it's the case now, the students then and the doctors now, very, very dedicated, very good knowledge base. But the surroundings and the kids they're given to work with and the workload is not conducive to giving of their best. So I would wish and I would hope that the powers that be invested more in the healthcare sector.
Well, to watch the full interview with Professor Frank Chinegundu, do watch Diaspora Network on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Now, rescuers who are desperately trying to reach a 5-year-old boy who fell into a well in northern Morocco 4 days ago say they are almost there. The boy, named by local media as Ryan, was reportedly playing near the well in the town of Tomarot on Tuesday. Is believed to have fallen about 32 meters through a narrow opening. After days of digging there are just 3 meters to go, but there is the risk of a landslide. So, as a precaution, a parallel shaft is being dug next to the well to reach Ryan, which is so far proven successful according to authorities. Despite suffering a significant fall, footage on Thursday from a camera lowered into the well showed that the boy was alive and conscious, though he appeared to be suffering from some minor head injuries. And finally on the program, the 24th edition of the Winter Olympics is officially underway after the Olympic cauldron was lit in a restrained opening ceremony in Beijing, China. Almost 3,000 athletes from 91 nations will compete across the Games. The International Olympic Committee has been criticized, though, for awarding the Games to China because of the country's alleged human rights abuses. The Olympic torch was placed into the center of a giant snowflake, which was then illuminated to become the cauldron. The snowflake is made up of placards with the names of the 91 nations competing in Beijing. And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tenyola Shibowale. Bye for now.